This is Bob Jordan, author of How They Did It, $1 Billion Insights from the Heart of America. And I'm so pleased to be speaking with Jeff Leitner, my friend who runs Insight Labs, which is an initiative inside of Manifest Digital. Manifest Digital, of course, is the premier agency for user experience in the U.S. Jeff, thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure.
And what we really wanted to explore today is all about brainstorming, at which you are expert. And in particular, if you could give some advice to entrepreneurs and company owners how best to conduct their own brainstorming.
I think a couple of things occur to me and that I make sure that we do when we tackle a problem. And the first thing is that it is essential that you're brainstorming around the right question. And I think about 95% of the time people get that wrong.
They get it wrong.
They get it wrong. People brainstorm around a little too far down the decision tree. So, not as far as, do we want, Diet Coke or Coke for luncheon when we have the client in, but closer to that end than way back at the beginning. The real insights come when you look at a holistic system, when you look at where you or your company or your project fits into a larger picture. And when you back up, and look at it there, then there's real opportunity for change. That's where insights come from. Now, there may be great value further down the pike. I just may not be interested in it, frankly.
And is it just that entrepreneurs tend to focus too much on minutia, or why is that?
That's a good question. Entrepreneurs, they're all different kinds, obviously. But my experience is that entrepreneurs fall in love with their ideas and fall in love with the solution, fall in love with the way in which they think it is best to solve the problem. And when they brainstorm about ways to prove to the world that their solution is really good, as opposed to understanding clearly where they fit in the larger picture. I've been playing with an idea in my head for the last week or so, which is what is a real innovation? What is a meaningful innovation? And it seems to me that there are two criteria for a meaningful innovation. One of them is, does it make us less lonely as not individually, but as a rule? I mean, cell phones are a great example of, it's rather remarkable. Somehow they've created a technology that makes us less lonely, makes us better able to engage with each other. And then the other one is, does an innovation reduce to free something that we're accustomed to paying a lot for? And what we're paying for may be time or energy or resources or flat out money. But if you think about Google, I mean, what's so remarkable about the leading search engine is the idea that it has reduced to free the cost of accumulating all that information, which when you and I were in school required us to strap on a backpack and go to the library and look things up, whether it was in a card catalog or in a computer, depending. And that has a high cost. And on a winter's day, where you and I both went to grad school in the Midwest, that's a schlep. And what Google did for my daughter, for example, is reduced to free that cost. She is in her pajamas and has access to all the same information. So does it make us less lonely? That's a meaningful innovation, that somehow it has allowed us to engage with each other in a meaningful way that wasn't possible, and it has reduced to free. So I think entrepreneurs, to go back to your original question, get caught up fall in love with an idea that isn't really that interesting or important, and then they brainstorm about how to persuade people that it is.
Very interesting. And yet, sometimes from those, what you might call micro innovation or less important innovation, something good could come from that.
Yeah, I think, but...
you labor in the weeds, and maybe that produces something serendipitous, which is the big idea.
Well, I mean, right, so the Groupon's all over the news, and Groupon started as something very different, right, the point, and they wandered around and landed on this thing that has great traction, and that somebody in the marketplace valued at $6 billion last week.
Right. So we've heard. Yeah.
Yes.
I find it also very interesting, a definition, does it make us less lonely? So your take, for example, a cell phone is that yes, it does.
That meets that criteria?
Yes.
Yeah. I think, I mean, this is just an idea I'm playing with, but
Right.
but I'm trying to figure out. I like you, and I would imagine, you know, anybody who spends a lot of time around entrepreneurs spends a lot of time listening to business pitches, thinking to themselves or saying out loud, depending on your role in the room, yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great idea. Yeah, you're right. The way that we buy airplane tickets is a little inefficient, and you have designed a better interface. You're right. Right?
5% better. Right.
Yeah, and I'm just not sure that that's meaningful enough to catch my attention.
Right.
That somehow you have to, that, is it better? Yes. But so let's...
Let me give you another example here.
Yeah.
For example, just to tie it back a little to the book, because one of the founders, Jim Gray from Options Express, he had a phrase. He said, "We do a lot of littles." And what he meant by that was that they have an online trading platform, but that he thought their success was there were a lot of little things, like could you do something in 5 steps instead of 8 steps?
Mm-hmm.
And that each one on its own you would say, so what?
Mm-hmm.
Not even a 5% improvement, but that over the course of the entire offering started to add up.
Yeah, I think, but presumably what he was able to do, what his company was able to do, was significantly improve an experience.
Yeah.
Now, there are all sorts of little component parts that enabled that to do. I mean, the best restaurant isn't, I mean, you know, has the best sorbet, has better sorbet and a better wine list and a better atmosphere
Right.
and a better reservation system, and you put them all together, and this is really a substantively better dining experience.